Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. That's right, Homeschool. I am Mrs. T, and today we're going to be talking about game schooling your preschooler. Now, we have curriculum that we use at home, and that's great. I'm not anti-curriculum, but I was really shocked to find how much my child learned from just general play, being outside, and playing games as a family. We have learned so much, and it's been so much fun. So I wanted to share with you, I have 4 games here that I want to show you how diverse and how many topics you can just cover in just a small amount of gameplay, which is really neat. Now, I do want to say, games can sometimes be expensive, and so as we've been playing through them, I actually have come up with some alternatives. So if you like some of these games, I have some ideas on how you can implement these at home in a very similar way, using hopefully what you have at your fingertips. So just because you don't want to spend money on a game, which is okay, sometimes we can't and sometimes we just don't want to, doesn't mean you can't enjoy the same style game at home. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Okay, this very first one that I got is called Tiny Polka Dot. Like, look at how tiny this box is. It's so tiny and we love this game. Basically, you guys, this is a math game, and I'm going to show you on the back here. You are going to get a series of cards. You have one numeral card, and then you'll have these different 5 style of like polka dots that are going to represent the numbers. So this box covers numbers 0 through 10, and they have an assortment of games that you can do with those cards. So it comes with this little packet here of cards. These are actually the instructions. There are 16 games that they recommend that are meant for ages 3 to about like 7 plus. So it's not just like matching, which is definitely what you can do if you're starting to still recognize numbers, but you could go from a complex of being like matching all the way up to puzzles. You can build pyramids, so you're practicing addition. There's just a lot that you can do with these. And we use them in multiple ways at home. So let me show you an actual card here. Here is the number 6, or a number 6, and they are just like little thicker cards. This one has polka dots in 2 different colors, so that way your child can start recognizing that 3 and 3 is 6. And you can just use it in a number of ways. My kid's favorite way is to put all the cards out, and I'm not kidding when I say all of them. And my toddler and my preschooler will do this together, and they create rows, and they put first the numeral all the way on the left-hand side, and they put it top to bottom, so 0 to 10, and then they fill it in like a grid style with all of the different types of polka dots, and they try to put them in order, and they work together as a team. And honestly, you guys, that like takes a long time, and they work together, and it's just really great, and they love it. Some days we don't want to do that. We just go with a basic memory. So I'll get like either 2 different types of cards. So it'd be like a numeral and a polka dot, or maybe 2 different polka dot variations, and we play memory with them. That's a really good one. We sometimes play Go Fish. Go Fish is a good one. There are so many options with just this card, this little deck of cards. Now, you could easily do this at home in so many other ways. If you have dot art, you can create your own. And we've actually have considered creating your own as well, because that process of creating the cards is really great for your kids to like be a part of that creation. There's a whole new layer of understanding when you're doing and not just playing. So you could create your own cards, get some index cards, get some dot art, and make your own dot art. Easy. And you can do a variety of them. You could print some if you wanted to print. I highly recommend, though, like just get out your little daubers or get a marker and just draw a little bunch of circles, those sticker dots, something like that. It's great. It's cheap, it's easy, and my kids love this game. It is so much fun. Now, let's talk about literature or language arts. Specifically, we're going to talk about phonics. We have this game. We actually got this through Knowledge Crate. This is called Pop for Letters. It's from Learning Resources, and it actually looks like little popcorn in there. And we play with this with my toddler and my preschooler as well. So this game is pretty neat. They have a couple of variations that you can play, but the main way that you play is that you have, I think there are 92 letter cards in here and 8 pop cards. So what you do is you shake it up, you grab a piece of popcorn, and you turn it around. I happen to grab pop. If you grab pop, any of the popcorn pieces that are in your hand are going to go back into the bucket. But if you get a letter, I got one here, your child can either practice the letter recognition or the letter sounds. So when we play with toddler, he's still recognizing some of the letters, and that's great. And then with preschooler, he will do his letter sounds. And we're doing short vowels. So you guys know how that goes. Now there are so many tiles in here, you guys. Rarely when we play this game do we actually finish the whole thing. We usually set up a goal. Whoever gets 10 tiles first wins, if we want it to be a little competitive. Or we have like a community popcorn bowl and we're trying to hit 20 popcorn tiles collected together before we get a pop. And it can get really silly, really fun. And this is the perfect game to get real popcorn involved, eat some popcorn, be messy, and just enjoy it. My kids love this game. Now, alternatively, you could do the same thing at home by printing out a series of letter cards that just like from the printer, or using Post-its, or probably not Post-its actually because they're sticky, but like index cards. You can make your own and create a very similar style game. It doesn't have to look like popcorn. It's really easy to do this one at home, and I don't think you necessarily need to spend that money on it. But working together to identify the sounds, working together to identify the letter names if you're younger, and then of course working together as a team or being competitive, but learning about good sportsmanship while being competitive, right? No like victory dances and being mean. No nana nana boo-boos. All right, speaking of learning how to be kind, right? We have this game I've talked about out here before. It's called I Heard Your Feelings. And I don't know if we can call this one a game as much as like they're conversation cards, but my kids love doing this one, and we do turn it into a game. So we have here, you get these cards where you have an image on one side, and on the back you get a series of questions. Now you can ask these questions in the same way, like you can use it as a conversation card, which we mostly do, or if you're like us and you like to like gamify things, turn things into a game, you can do some sort of game where you have a number of scenarios set out, and you have basically, you ask your child, collect all the cards that would make you feel icky if it was you that was happening. And your child can start identifying, like, you know, I would feel pretty annoyed, or I would feel icky. And you still have the conversation, because sometimes they pick something in the back and they're like, oh no, I'm happy in the back over here. I'm dancing. And then it's like, okay, but your happiness is frustrating, dog. Like, can we talk about maybe why? But you can do it as like a spot the game, almost like an I Spy. Ooh, you put 10 cards out. I spy with my little eye somebody who's feeling a little bit sad. Can you find him and tell me why? So you can kind of really, it really helps with them practicing identifying certain situations. It's really, really fun, and it's enjoyable. Now these games, or these conversation cards, are definitely harder to emulate at home, but you can do something kind of similar if you have some books at your fingertips. Go to the library. You can intentionally pick up some books that have that maybe have expressive covers, or again, you can find online some really basic clip art and print your own cards that show just like face emotions. And then there are a number of books out there as well that you could grab that do show emotions on like a single page. So you could do something very similar with a page. But the actual conversation thing I think is pretty unique and would be a little bit hard to emulate at home. Okay, the next game that I have here is a relatively new addition, and oh my gosh, we love this game. It is Ecology's Junior. Now, Ecology's is a board game, it's a card game that you can get for older people. We haven't actually played it yet, but we do have this junior style, and this is recommended for 4 and up for practicing the memory, because you can use these as a memory game, or 6 and up to practice food webs. Now, we kind of do both, and we just love it. So let me show you the inside of this one. Okay, so this one, you're going to get a number of tiles, and the tiles themselves are beautiful. here's an example here. This is a deer. I don't know, can you see that? And it is like just a pretty small cardboard style glossy thing. Now what you'll notice is on here you'll have a deer, but you're gonna have a number in this top corner. And what this is the identifier. What is the deer? So in this case, the deer is in C1, and they have a list that kind of walk you through it. It's on the board somewhere. But essentially, I have my own little cheat sheet that I put with them. We are trying to build our food webs. So you have your P's, your producers. These are going to be like plants, trees, nuts, things that can create their own food. Once they create their own food, you have the next tier, which are typically herbivores or scavengers. And that is the next layer of the food web. Above that, you have some basic carnivores. So you're talking like, raccoons maybe. And then above that, you have some higher predators and then apex predators. And you are trying to build a food web. So one of the things that we do is I actually created, I wanted us to work on the food web aspect, not just memory, but use it with the memory as well. So I created these little, you can see they're not pretty. I just wrote down classification cards. And when we go through, I actually sort out the tiles. So we have a bunch, so we have all of our producers in one little pile and they're flipped over like memory. In fact, I'll just put a picture here. I will set it up because we're gonna play it today, and I will take a picture to show you guys how I set it up. But we break out the different categories. Now, one thing that you will notice pretty quickly, and your child will notice, is the number of apex predators is a lot smaller than, say, the first layer, the producers, or the layer directly after that, which are like the scavengers and herbivores. So your child, it does emulate real life, right? There are not the same number of apex predators as there are like berry trees. There just are, or berry bushes or trees. There just aren't. So it really emulates that. And we like to play in two ways. Sometimes we play a little competitively where we are trying to build our own food webs, and then we kind of tell our story of our forest. These are all forest food webs. So you make your own little forest, ecology there. And you are trying to, you can tell a whole story through it, which is really nice. Or you can play together and you try to build these really robust food web systems all together through memory matching. So it's really fun, you guys. We really enjoy this game. This would, again, be a little bit more difficult to emulate at home, but it is possible to create food webs if you have, you can print out pictures online, or if you happen to have a lot of animals, like those little fake plastic animals, those are great. Going outside into your backyard, going to the park, and finding evidence of food webs is also a really good idea. It's obviously not the same as the game, but that's a little bit more hands-on, and you're still covering the same topics and learning about, food webs and things like that. Now, one thing I want to say about these games is they are all a lot of fun and we love them, but we do rarely play games in the exact way that they are intended to be played. We create our own rules, our kid creates his own rules, we go with it, and we've learned a lot from not necessarily following the rules. I highly recommend any games that you have, from Candyland to anything. Allow your children to create new rules, be creative, think outside the box, and you will get a lot more usage out of your games if you're not just playing them by the rules. Try to turn them into a competitive game to teach some sportsmanship, but also teach them, collaboration by turning it into a cooperative game. Work together, work against each other, add in some exercise if you need to. One of the things that we did with the food web one that my kid loves is when we find a match, we pretend that we are what we find. So sometimes we're trees and we stand really still and we drop nuts. And then other times we're bears and we're growling. Add in some additional elements that make the game yours. The games are a great baseline. The content is a great baseline, but you can do so much more with just thinking a little bit outside the box, but also making your child think outside the box. If he's starting to indicate he wants to do something, do it. Feed into it. All right, you guys, that is it for today. I will link the location so you can buy them. We recommend all of these, but again, if you're not getting these, that's okay. Embrace what you have at home first and foremost and enjoy playing. I will talk to you guys soon, and yeah, you guys have a good day. Bye everyone.